All right, perfect. So once again, my name is Lola Clayton. I'm a career advisor here at WGU, and I work along a great team of professionals within the Career Professional Development Department. To get us started, I'll talk a little bit about some access needs. So just some basic housekeeping items. Please keep in mind during the presentation, a couple of things. Make sure that your device, whether you're using your computer, your laptop, desktop, or mobile device, make sure it's muted. The chat box is going to be our communication tool. I invite and welcome questions throughout the presentation. I don't want you to lose your thoughts at any time. So if you have any questions, my only ask is that you put a Q in front of your question as I toggle back and forth between the presentation slides as well as the chat box. So if you have any questions, just put a Q in front of it. Happy to address it. The other thing is make yourself comfortable. Feel free to stretch, move around, anything that you need to do to take care of yourself. That is priority here. Again, the only request is to stay muted at all times. Make sure you put any questions that you have or testimonials in the chat box, because I definitely will reference some professional testimonials throughout my career, as well as if you have any questions about the content of the presentation, or if you have any questions for me, or maybe you like to schedule a one-on-one appointment and speak specifically about your career change or your professional goals, feel free. You can email the team at careers@wgu.edu, or I will happily put my email address in the chat box, and you can email me directly if you have any questions. Our team does take same day requests or same day appointments. So the number that you see on the screen in the second box, if you like to call at any time and leave a voicemail, any of the advisors, including myself, will be happy to return your call same day. We can talk through about anything that you would like to discuss as it is career related. Also, keep in mind, this presentation is being recorded for your viewing. So if today's Wednesday, I normally like to get it out to you no later than Friday. So you should see the presentation link in your email by Friday afternoon. A brief agenda this evening. We'll talk a little bit, of course, about navigating a career change, what that looks like. Again, there's no cookie cutter way to navigate a career change. Everyone's career change is different. Some people are doing a career change where they're elevating into another career. Some are switching careers totally, like maybe going from being a teacher to working in healthcare administration. So we'll talk about how to navigate that. We'll talk a little bit about transferable skills as well, and assessing your interests and your needs to make sure that they align with the position that you're targeting. We will talk about suggestions for a successful career change. Again, there's no recipe that's going to make this an easy task as much as possible, but most of these suggestions are helpful and have been provided from research that I've conducted, also some content from employers and others that have been able to career change successfully. The last thing we'll talk about is maintaining resilience in your career change. Often I've connected with people who I've applied for a job and I'm not getting any bites. I need someone to reach out to me or just give me a chance. This is the industry that I'm targeting. So your resiliency is really going to be helpful as you navigate through those waters of a career change. It's definitely going to take some confidence in submersing yourself into the industry of choice. So again, we'll talk more about that as we elevate throughout the slides. So when introducing a career change, here are just a few factors that prompt a career change, and maybe some of them resonate with you. So a new professional interest. That definitely, as advisors, we've seen that a few times with through the pandemic. So maybe your organization did not sustain, or maybe you were looking for something more stable. So a new professional interest, a desire to increase your compensation or your salary. Career values, maybe your values has changed as the workforce in itself has changed altogether. Maybe you have different interests and different values as a professional. Perhaps you just are considering embarking on a new challenge. Maybe you've been doing the same position routinely for years and years, and now you want something new. I was speaking with someone not long ago, and it was a young lady that was a nurse. She's been a nurse for about 20 years, and the bedside was just not friendly on her joints and her body. So as much as she loved nursing, she was looking for something that was more on a sit down level, maybe even on a remote level. So just embarking on a new challenge or something different. Perhaps you're seeking stability after a layoff. And here are just a few reality reasons, right? So I put them up here because sometimes these, no one wants to mention them, but these are reality reasons that actually apply in the workplace. So sometimes the work environment can be toxic. Maybe there is conflict there and not an HR team to help to provide a resolution for the conflict. Maybe you just are not comfortable with your boss. Your boss has a different leadership style that you are not comfortable with, or does it help you to grow as a professional? I've also had someone mention to me not long ago that they were overlooked for several positions or several promotions. So I didn't put that one up there, but someone brought that to my attention, and that does happen. Maybe you've been working in the same role, or someone will point you as the point of contact in replace of a leader while they're absent or on vacation, and then you go to apply for the position and you've been overlooked. So sometimes that is a factor that prompts a career change as well. And then maybe you are currently employed with an organization that's not open to DEI or diversity, equity, and inclusion, which is very trending in our workforce now. So diversity, equity, and inclusion is very popular. So, as we think about a few common obstacles to approaching a career change, left side are obstacles, right side are some solutions. There's more obstacles than there are solutions, and that is because some solutions can be utilized repeatedly to help conquer any obstacles. So, number one is potentially building a network. So, perhaps I'll use the example I used earlier about the teacher going into healthcare administration. So, has that one thing that that teacher could take advantage of initially is looking into a professional organization. There are plenty of them out here when it comes to healthcare. Have they considered connecting with someone that is active in a healthcare organization? Are they taking advantage of any non-member related benefits? Does their LinkedIn profile reference what the industry is that they're targeting, not the industry that they're in? So just starting to build a network is important. Another great way to build a network is Eventbrite or even Facebook. Sometimes there are conferences and there are networking events that occur in different areas, maybe one locally or even some that are virtually. So this is a really good way to become rooted into your industry of choice, become familiar with what the industry is all about, maybe terms, terminology. And again, building a network, sometimes it's not always what you know, but who you know when it comes to creating a network and then elevating into potentially a position. Over in the solutions, another great thing is to tap into any of your current contacts. Maybe some of your current peers in your position are working in a healthcare. Maybe they have a spouse or mate or a partner that is working in a care complex. Then you can reach out to them for what we call an informational interview, ask questions, ask them their thoughts about the industry. Are there positions that are open within their current company? One of the other obstacles that has been shared is ageism. Sometimes people feel that their age will prevent them or serves as an obstacle in moving forward to a different industry or position. And if so, try to reconsider that. Most employers are looking for what skills and qualifications you have to contribute to the role. So the main thing that you want to focus on is not necessarily the age at hand, but what software is being used? What is the current climate or current moral environment within that organization? What's their mission statement? What's their culture? Have you connected with them? So if you focus more on what it is that you can contribute to the role, your knowledge of maybe the company that you're targeting, more importantly, your certifications, ways that you can, when it comes to an interview, you can talk about your credentials that you've acquired. That's what the employer wants to hear. They want to know, because to be quite honest, age brings a lot of pros. It brings reliability, time management. It brings great foundational skill sets. However, just having that knowledge of what the industry is complementary to whatever the position or industry you're targeting. Starting over is another obstacle. I use the example again of the teacher just starting over as a healthcare administrator, spent 20 years working, I'm sorry, the nurse spent 20 years working as a nurse, and then now she wants to do something definitely different. So starting over can have some challenges of its own. Sometimes the compensation is not linear. Maybe you may have to target a decrease in compensation versus a compensation that's going to provide you with the amount that you are currently at, because you are considered maybe entry level in the position. So great thing to do is list your current hard skills, soft skills, determine what skills you need for the new career. There's a great resource that we have called a skills gap analysis that's really helpful to sit down and look at what skills are potentially transferable that you can put on your resume, and you can discuss during an informational interview, in addition during a possible interview if you've applied for a position. Starting over or changing careers can bring irrelevant skills. You want to make sure you toss those out of your resume. So if there are not skills that are needed or requested for the position, then no need to put them on the resume, because the employer that you're targeting or the job posting that you're applying for is really going to be succinct on what they're looking for as far as skill set. Employer risk is definitely another one. Maybe you've been with your current company for quite some time, 5 to 10 years, and now you are embarking on something new, a different employer, different peers, changing your routine. Money matters. There is a resource for a great career change budget that you can use. Again, maybe you are targeting a different industry and the compensation is not going to be lateral to what it is that you're currently making, but you really, really, really want to focus on this industry. You really want to take the time and invest in elevating yourself in that industry. So sometimes looking over a career change budget can be helpful. And if it's been a long time, one of the great things that we enjoy doing, we as a department, is looking over your resume, talking about your next steps, helping to craft and create a plan. If you have not applied for a position, or if you are changing careers and it's been a long time since you've applied, or you've reached out to an employer, or you started to network. Are any of you using Handshake? Just curious. Is anyone on Handshake or has a Handshake profile? Okay, I see a couple yeses, a thumbs up. Yep. Started today. Okay, perfect. Excellent. Handshake is a great resource. It actually is our premium resource that we recommend to start connecting with employers. Started today as well. Okay, perfect. Good to know. Some say that they wait for employers to reach out to them. So you create a profile, right? That's normally step 1. You upload your resume. That's normally step 2. And then step 3, you wait for employers to look at your profile and see what talent it is that you have to offer. Someone said it's been so helpful. Definitely glad to hear that. So I often encourage, if you are a career changer, take advantage of not only waiting for an employer to reach out to you, but note that employers create a profile just like you do, number 1. Number 2, employers also need to be vetted in order to create a profile on Handshake, because perhaps you would agree looking for a job is a job in itself, right? Trying to modify your resume, finding the right position. So that takes work, and not only work, it takes time. So with that being said, WGU, our team and our department, takes time to connect with the employers. What positions do you have to offer? That we validate these positions, so they must go through an approval or a denial, or sometimes we'll ask for more information depending on who the employer is, because we do understand that your time is precious and it's important. So glad to know most of you are using Handshake. In addition to knowing that employers are vetted, and their positions are vetted as well. Employers also, on a monthly basis, host employer led information sessions. So we don't necessarily have career fairs, but each and every month, a different employer, and there's a calendar listing, happy to show you where that is towards the conclusion of our workshop today. But each and every month, employers rotate out, given different industries. Healthcare, it could be business, it could be school districts, it could be IT. So each employers rotate out, and they take a few minutes, maybe up to an hour if I'm not mistaken, and they share information about their current positions. They talk about how to apply, what they're looking for in applicants, what the application process is like, what the potential interviewing process is like. If it's recruiter first, then a leadership member, or if it's a virtual and then an in-person. They talk about their location. So much of that information, if you've attended a career fair before and you get to meet at a table with a employer, very similar to that, except it's in a virtual environment and it's a different employer that rotates out each month. So if you have not taken advantage of those resources and you are a career changer, or maybe you're approaching a career change, I would suggest or recommend definitely to use Handshake to connect with employers. Look at their profiles, do their research. A lot of times on their profiles, there are contact information to either the recruiter or the HR team where you can reach out to them directly. So attending those employer-led sessions allow you an opportunity to one-to-many to ask questions to the employer directly. So hope that was a nugget of information about Handshake that I was able to share, and hopefully that will be helpful to many of you. Before we get started on our graphic here, I'm just going to pause. Are there any questions so far about the content or even a testimonial? All right. So how to successfully change your career? Well, this graphic gives us 6 ways to approach if you're doing a career change. So step 1, assess your interests and your skills. So using my example again of the teacher going to healthcare administration, the first thing, as you see from the graphic, it looks like he's sitting there and he has maybe a job posting or his resume in front of him. So what the exercise here is, what skills, the rhetorical question he could ask himself in this picture is, what skills do I have that I can take into that role? So if you're a teacher, can you talk a little bit about your classroom management style, working with others, coaching, teaching, engaging others? That could be helpful in a healthcare administration environment. Maybe you've worked on some projects and collaborated with other teachers or with other districts. Maybe it was for test scores. So in the healthcare administration environment, will you be working on any projects? So that project, that ability to be able to manage a project, to be able to communicate and engage with others, that is potentially a transferable skill that could be used and needed for that position. Step 2, consider alternative careers. So maybe it's within the same industry. So I'll use healthcare administration again, but maybe that particular individual wants to do front desk at a insurance company, or work in a insurance call center, or helping to process insurance claims, which is something different but still linear, or has a indirect or a dotted line direction to healthcare. So if that's the case, look at different positions within that industry. Or are there any other careers that are out there where your skills could be utilized? I often reference this particular section in number 2, consider alternative careers, if you are looking to maintain the same compensation rate, because sometimes looking at different industries will put you in that same compensation ballpark that you were at. But if you're willing to potentially start over or take an entry level role and then elevate, then staying within your same organization. So again, it's a case by case basis. Step 3, reach out for informational interviews. Have any of you ever heard of the WGU Alumni LinkedIn tool or the Night Owls Network? Either one of them. WGU Alumni tool. Okay, nope. See a couple yes, couple no's. Got it. Nope. Yes. Okay. But I will explore. Okay, got it. Excellent. So I referenced the LinkedIn alumni tool. We also have a LinkedIn workshop that I want to say is going to be facilitated tomorrow about branding and about networking. And so the WGU alumni LinkedIn tool is an opportunity to connect with WGU alumni that are working in the field. So on step 3, when it says reach out for informational interviews, if you want to take advantage of a professional organization, that's great. But if you want to take advantage of a in-house resource, that alumni tool is a great place to get started. You can browse and see which alumni on LinkedIn have graduated and what industry that they're in, and just reach out to them and send them a direct message and say, hi, my name's Lola. I'm graduating with my software engineering degree in December. I see that you're currently working as a software engineer at Twitter. Like to know if you have maybe about 3 to 5 minutes. Just want to talk about your journey. How did you get there? Did you encounter any obstacles? 3 to 5 minutes, I always recommend a short amount of time. And before you know it, once people start talking about themselves, they start talking about their story, their journey. One, they want to give back. And then two, that 3 to 5 minutes turns into 30 minutes before you even know it. So reach out for an opportunity with an informational interview, not necessarily asking for a job, but gathering information on your career change. You could say, I graduated with my software engineering degree and I'm a first time graduate. I've never worked in software engineering before. I have no tech experience. I'm actually going from career education to software engineering. So a completely 360 of an industry, and then just ask some questions. The key to that too is not to necessarily reach out to one person. The more the merrier. So the more people you reach out to, the higher your opportunity to yield results in someone responding. So the WGU Alumni Network, again, is a great way to get started with that. And then secondly, any professional association. So if you're in marketing, if you're in business, again, if you're in healthcare, then that would definitely be helpful. Fourth thing, spend time job shadowing if that is an opportunity. I'll reference Handshake again. Handshake has a opportunity to filter not only for jobs, but also to filter for internships as well. So if you feel comfortable, you can filter through Handshake for an internship. That's a way to shadow. Most internships are maybe 4 weeks, or some I think are maximum at 6 months that I've seen. Or if you have an opportunity not only to just job shadow, but maybe looked at some LinkedIn learnings. Coursera is another one that you can look at. So if you don't have the time, maybe you're a full-time employee, quite like me, or you're caring for your family, and being able to shadow or volunteer is not an option for you, then perhaps looking at some additional learning certificates virtually or online, you may be able to do that as well. Then you can add that to your resume, and when asked about it during an interview, you can talk about additional knowledge and certificates that you've acquired. So if you can shadow, great. If not, taking advantage of any type of virtual outlets where you can receive additional knowledge on the industry specific. So I kind of combine 4 and 5. I'll jump over to 6. Take a class and upgrade your skills. Again, these 3 are kind of along the same. Your academic courses that you're taking at WGU are going to be extremely helpful, but also tap into your mentors or even your faculty that's facilitating your courses. Most of them are subject matter experts or SMEs within a specific industry. Are there anything that they recommend about upgrading your skills, taking a class? The other great thing about this is too, you can look at a theme of job description. So let's just say for me, I'm looking for a software engineering position. If I pull software engineering job postings, what's the theme? What are employers looking for? What are the requirements? What are the preferred requirements? Is it a software that most employers are working with that I'm unfamiliar with? Maybe they're working with Salesforce or another customer relationship management service, and I'm not familiar with it. How can I upgrade my skills and learn more about those particular courses? So you can take a class based off of what most employers are seeking and looking for. All right. So I see there's some action in the chat. WGU alumni now. Work in healthcare information technology. Okay, wonderful. Perfect. Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate it. Looks like it transitioning from a full-time to a digital marketing career. Perfect. Well, I would love to definitely connect with you one-on-one. Sounds like you have more of a specialized situation, particularly going from a CEO of a nonprofit. So please feel free. In the chat is my email address, and we can definitely book some time. I think I have some calendar appointments on Friday. If you're available, we could talk more about your situation in length. Thank you for sharing that. Thanks for your activity in the chat. Looks like someone else said, I attained 5 certifications in marketing, pursuing an MS in digital marketing. Beyond this, how can I improve my ATS match rate and generally get employers to take an interest in me? I hope this helps others. And thank you. Yes, absolutely. No problem. The applicant tracking system is, so ATS is the applicant tracking system that is the artificial intelligence system that most employers use to filter through qualified applicants. Our resume workshop really breaks down some specifics on resources that you can use to assist in your ATS match rate and increasing your match rate. JobScan, I know, is one of the primary resources we recommend, but there are some others that are out there. But more importantly, to answer your question really quickly, pulling keywords from the job posting and not copy and pasting the job posting, but sporadically including repeated keywords from the job posting in appropriate areas on your resume, cover letter, whatever applicant documents that you are submitting is a very, very helpful way to, one, ensure the applicant tracking system is alerted that you're qualified, and two, helps your information to be moved on in the selection process. So again, our resume workshop is very helpful for that. Happy to send you a link to the resume workshop, because it really breaks down how to work around the applicant tracking system. I don't want to say beat it, but just kind of work around it and navigate. But you're having also a title on your resume could be helpful as well. So if you're an industry changer, if you're going from healthcare administration or a teacher, maybe you're going into digital marketing, or you want to be a marketing professional, you can title your resume as well. And then you can use what we call a skills based resume or a functional style resume versus a chronological. Most of us traditionally use a chronological style resume where we list our position, where we were at, month, date, year. But the skills based resume is really an opportunity for a 95% of that document to showcase the skills that are relevant to the position you're targeting. And so that is a primary one that's a career changer, because that's what you want the employer to see. You want your skills and your contributions of the qualifications for that role to stand out. Great question. Thank you for that. Here are just 10 steps to a successful career change. Some of them we have uncovered and conquered, so they may sound repeated, but there are some other ones up here that we have not addressed. So number one, evaluate your current job satisfaction. So how do you feel at your current? Are you satisfied with where you at? Are you ready to get up and go to work every day and work with your clients or your customers, or is going to work daunting to you? So ensure you evaluate your current job satisfaction. And when you do that, if you are leaning on the side where maybe you're looking for a new challenge, or maybe you are ready to move out to do something different and it's not satisfying, it's unsatisfying. If that's the case, start to take time to evaluate what skills you have. This is sometimes where most people, they do the same job over and over again, but they never really dissect and think of things that they've done differently. I'll give you an example. So let's just say hypothetically, I'm a teacher, and that's my day-to-day position, but perhaps I trained other teachers as they onboarded and as the new school year started, or I trained them on the operations of bus safety, or I trained them on how to create a lesson plan, or strategies to improve test scores, or classroom management, or district level policies and procedures. So my day-to-day is maybe lesson planning for myself, but being able to remind myself of different skill sets that I've used and applied, such as training others or helping to onboard others, that is a skill set that I can take with me to another position. So just something to consider when you're evaluating your current professional situation. Assess your interests, values, and transferable skills. Three, consider multiple alternative careers. So we talked a little bit about that in the grid. Check out job options. So temp services are sometimes helpful in your local area, particularly if you're in IT, maybe you're trying to break into the field. Most temporary services require you to register with them. They also put you maybe through a skills evaluation. What skills do you know? What software have you worked with? So that evaluation, they also send out and blast out to employers. So maybe temporary is not something that you are interested in doing because it sounds temporary, but 9 times out of 10, temporary positions, one, give you an opportunity to put some gainful employment on your resume, and two, they lead into permanent positions, and it gives you an opportunity to network. All right, 5, get personal with LinkedIn messages to recruiters. So just question, how many of you are active on LinkedIn or using LinkedIn? Just curious to see if you are active in using LinkedIn. Yep, see a few thumbs up, some yes, I am. Great. Perfect. Good to know. Definitely good to know. Second part of that question is, have you connected with any recruiters on LinkedIn before? And you can just yes or no. You don't have to go into your situation. Just curious. Decided to never use it because what I know person. Gotcha. Perfect. Thanks for sharing. Yep. If you want to share your LinkedIn profile in the chat, that's fine too. Not yet. I haven't. Okay. And some have. Perfect. Excellent. So I encourage if you find positions of interest. Now, this is if you find them and you want to target a specific position and you are a career changer, again, reaching out to recruiters via LinkedIn, one, or handshake as well is a great way to connect with them and get yourself noticed. So if your resume, let's just say you have that skills-based resume or you haven't worked in the industry before, recruiters' main function and their main role is to find talent and to fill talented positions within their organization. So creating and building that network with them or sending them a message. Hi, my name is Lola. I applied for a software engineering position within your company. Just submitted my application maybe about 7 days ago. Wanted to, one, see if you've received it, or two, if there's any nuggets or information you can share about the next steps or potentially elevating into an interview. Not all applicants are going to take that extra step. And again, 9 times out of 10, recruiters want to help fill positions. So if you take the initiative to connect with an employer, send them a quick message, not necessarily asking for the job, but really inquiring about your application, maybe your status, if this position is no longer open or maybe internally filled, are there any other positions that are open, or do you have any sister organizations or other recruiters that you may find where my talent and my qualifications could lie? So just an opportunity to network with a recruiter if you feel comfortable in doing so. Set up job shadowing and or two to connect with industry specific associations. So you can do that through a professional network. Talked a little bit about temp assignments and volunteering and job shadowing. We also shared some information about taking a class or certifications. Funny story, I was on Groupon not that long ago. Groupon, maybe some of you are familiar with it, but they were offering courses in home decorating, elevating your knowledge in Excel, pivot tables. And I was thinking, wow, this is interesting. I can actually elevate my Excel knowledge so it doesn't get too dusty before at a fraction of the cost. So taking a class or certification is definitely helpful. Upgrading your skills, and then consider a new job in the same industry. And if you're within a company, is it an opportunity for you to request an internal role? You've been with them, you've been working in one role for quite some time. Are there any internal openings that you can target? All right, so I saw the chat was pretty active, and I think I might have missed a question. So take a few minutes to step back. Looks like Oh, thank you for sending the recording. Much appreciated to the Resume Lab. I'm transitioning out of bedside healthcare, however, cannot decide what is a better fit. Human resources or accounting. How can I get a shadow opportunity in each of these to help make a decision? Great questions. So, if you can't decide which one is best, human resources does do some different activities versus accounting, of course, but it definitely will boil down to what your inner priority interest is. So human resources would provide you with an opportunity to shadow within your company if you ask, but keep in mind human resources is a very confidential department. Obviously they deal with compensation and they protect legal matters of organizations, so you can request a job shadow there. Or accounting may not be so confidential, where some numbers are public. Some financial health of organizations is just public knowledge, so you may have a wider net of being able to shadow within accounting, if requested, and also even an internship. But the WGU alumni LinkedIn tool as well is a great way to ask an alumni, is there an opportunity to virtually shadow in your organization? Or if you find someone that's local, just in case your internal organization will not provide you an opportunity to shadow. So great question. Looks like another question for internal openings, is it okay to reach out to the hiring manager, not the recruiter? Well, look at the job posting first. So if the job posting lists the point of contact as the recruiter, it may be best to reach out to the recruiter first and ask them, because they play the liaison role between the job posting, the applicants, as well as the hiring manager. Now, option B is if maybe you have a well-established working relationship with that hiring manager, then you feel comfortable bypassing the recruiter, then definitely take advantage in asking. So again, that can be a case by case. But if it is a situation where you're not familiar with the hiring manager, and it's in a separate department that you don't work with on a regular basis, then I would encourage following the directions of the job posting if a recruiter is provided, because at that point you may be considered an applicant for the role, and all applicants normally funnel through recruiters. Great question. All right. Informational interviews, talked a little bit about that as we talk through networking. So statistics say that 1 in 12 of informational interviews yield or turn into job offers. So informational interviews give you an opportunity to research the company. For example, referencing the employer profile that's provided on Handshake, connecting with recruiters on LinkedIn, looking at you can also look at profiles of companies and organizations via LinkedIn as well. Given an opportunity to network, conducting a job search. And again, this says 20 to 30 minutes of a conversation, which normally leads into that. But if your initial request, keep your time short, 3 to 5 minutes, even 5 to 10 minutes at max, and then allow the natural conversation to lead into a 20 to 30-minute conversation. And we have some questions, prompting questions for an informational interview. So if you've never conducted one before, towards the conclusion of this, I will show you where those questions are found. So just wanted to take a couple of notes here. I'll show you the skills-based resume as well as the informational interview questions. You can also conduct an informational interview via phone, of course, via email, if you're direct messaging anyone, or a video chat. I've seen someone do one through FaceTime if you don't have access to Zoom or WebEx. So whatever platform works the best for you for an informational interview, just come prepared with your questions. Make sure they're open-ended and they're not yes or no, so that the person that you're reaching out to can talk about and provide you with nuggets of information to help navigate your career change. Quick question in the chat said, is it more likely to A, get hired through a recruiter versus directly, and B, receive a higher compensation through a recruiter versus a direct hire? It is more likely to A, get hired through a recruiter. Your recruiter is going to be your support advocate that helps to elevate your higher compensation to have that conversation. So normally recruiters can help you with, if maybe the job posting has one amount, but after reviewing your credentials and your qualifications, and you want to negotiate that salary, the recruiter is going to be the one that speaks up on your behalf. So almost like a attorney, but not really one, but they just represent you as you navigate through the offer process once you get to that point. So a recruiter, option A, would be my response to your question. And another question in the chat says, is it possible to negotiate salary for an entry level position once an offer is extended to you? Yes, absolutely. The answer is always no unless you ask, right? So even if it is an entry level position, and you feel maybe that you exceed the qualifications, let's just say you've worked in a position that was related to it, or if you're switching careers and maybe you have some transferable skills that are related, then utilize those transferable skills. Utilize if you've taken any extra certifications outside of your academic degree that are needed for this role. But make sure you are equipped with that knowledge and that information when you go to leverage and negotiate your salary, even for an entry level position. Otherwise, because it's a negotiation, so what are you negotiating? And if you're negotiating your qualifications, then that's you want to be prepared to be able to present them appropriately. And sometimes employers say it's an entry level role, so we only have a budget at a certain cap that we can allow. So be prepared for that. But again, the answer is always no unless you ask. Just be equipped with what skill set you are negotiating. On our slide in our presentation, here is a sample email or request that you can send to anyone in the WGU alumni LinkedIn group. Again, you can reference, this is Lola. I'm a student pursuing my BS degree in business management, exploring some career options in this area of study. Just wanted to ask you a few questions about your experiences as a software engineer with company A. And so not expected to discuss a particular employment, so just make sure you put that out there. But I would like an opportunity to just talk briefly with you about your career success and how you ended up where you are. And so again, that's building a network. What this accomplishes for you is to build a network. If you have the right questions, that particular individual can talk about themselves, but also give you some insight on your career change. They may even recommend and say, hey, I've really enjoyed my time talking with you. I do know the recruiter for the software engineering posting that's open. If it's okay, I'd like to send your information over. So just make sure you judge the environment or judge that conversation on how it's going. But if you have the right informational interview questions, then hopefully it will lean into that direction. Experience and skills gaps. A couple of questions to ask yourself. Are you struggling to address any qualifications that are listed for the position? And so when you're doing a career change, sometimes the answer to this is yes. But if you have done your research, or maybe you have gathered some information about the industry and you've become aware of what employers' needs are, then you are going to be option B, and you meet 50% of the listed qualifications, and you're going to be a strong candidate and you should proceed in applying. But keep in mind, what's going to be on your side is customizing your resume. That's where that skills-based resume comes into play, because you really want to give the reviewer the meat and potatoes of the qualifications you have for the role and of your knowledge on that skills-based resume. And I'm going to make sure I take a few minutes to show you what it looks like for those of you that have not seen it already. There's a very small section where you can showcase that you have worked before. If you were military, if you've worked for a corporation, but you want to at least inform the employer that you've been gainfully employed prior, and that you understand the fundamentals of working with the team and showing up to work on time and things of that nature. But your qualifications is what's going to overpower the resume and get you noticed and recognized and entice the employer to learn more about you. Question in the chat says, any resources available to help more people that are not well represented in an industry. For example, getting more women into tech. Yes, absolutely. There are some organizations that are out there that can be helpful. So I'm going to take a quick note so I can make sure I show that to you. All right. And so here is the skills gap analysis. This is also featured in our resume workshop as well. But the skills gap analysis can help anyone that's a career changer as an entry level activity. So if you remember our graphic, we had the first picture and he was sitting there with his potentially his resume and the job posting. So with the skills gap analysis, that activity is one, gather 3 to 4 job descriptions for a targeted role. So I think someone, I'm going to use the example earlier, said going from nursing to HR or even accounting. So you could pull a couple of positions for HR and a couple of positions for accounting. If you pull an HR position, what is it that they're looking for? Are they looking for you to have the PHR, Professional Human Resources certification? Is it a preferred qualification or a requirement? Are they looking for you to have knowledge about the local state laws as it pertains to certain positions and or federal state laws, workman's comp, compensation and benefits? So what knowledge do you have about that? So if you have a few job descriptions, then again, that'll give you a baseline of what employers are looking for. Second step, rhetorically ask yourself, do you meet these qualifications? If you do, how so? What will you say on your resume? And then more importantly, what will you say during an interview? So that is really what you put on your resume is going to be helpful to attract the employer. What you say during an interview, though, is really what's going to get you go from application to offer. So things to think about, and knowing that job description and knowing what is trending in that particular industry, HR, accounting, then that's going to be very helpful to put on your resume as well as to speak about during an interview. And step 3, for significant or critical gaps, consider what steps you need to take to be more competitive. So this is where maybe some external learnings outside of your degree could be helpful. This is also where your network can be helpful. Definitely, I encourage, if you use a WGU alumni LinkedIn tool, or if you're using a professional association, ask if their employer provides some sort of incentive for referrals. Most employers will hire people that are recommended and referred by someone than employers who do not. So if possible, take advantage of your network that you have available to you. Any questions on the skills gap analysis and how to use the resource? Great. Overall, we've chatted much about networking. Networking is a strong elements in being successful in a career change. Networking should be the foundation of your research. So depending on your efforts in networking and how you feel about networking, you could take, again, a variety of approaches. At the beginning of the workshop, I talked a little bit about maybe conferences, industry specific conferences that are in your area, virtually or in person. I talked a little bit, of course, about WGU alumni LinkedIn tool, reaching out to recruiters and messaging them directly on LinkedIn. So networking should be your foundation. Employers always prefer to hire and or interview applicants that are referred to them or that they know. And networking uncovers the hidden job market, the positions that are not even posted yet. So if you decide to connect and reach out to employers on Handshake, let's just say their email address is listed on their profile, then ask them, are there any positions that match my qualifications that have not been posted yet or that you're seeking or looking for? Most of the time, recruiters have worked together in different environments. Maybe they work in different companies, but sometimes recruiters, all of them are looking to fill post positions. They're sourcing, they're using different outlets to find talent. So sometimes they know other recruiters that they can pass your information along. So use a recruiter to network, be part of your network as well. Quick question in the chat. How do you access the skills gap analysis? I will send it out with the recording. So I will definitely send that out to you. Thank you for that. And next one, do I stand a chance if I refuse to network? Believe in fair chance, not who I know. Yes, you do stand a chance. If you opt not to network, that is totally fine. Some people acquire positions just by straight applying. So networking is a great element, but it is not the answer to everything. So you can still apply um for a position, but if you decide to network, it just helps to, again, put your name out there and set you apart from anyone else that is competing or applying for a role. But yes, you do stand a chance. Absolutely. Win them over with your resume. That's your branding document. No problem. All right, we're going to close and wrap up. Got about 9 minutes left on the clock. So I'll talk about resiliency. And most of the resiliency just is a collaboration overall of what we've discussed. So step one, make sure you tailor your materials to each position. So this is work. It's going to take modifying your resume. I, for one, way back used to send the same resume out to each and every employer for different positions. I mean, I put in a lot of hard work in that one resume, but guess what? I wasn't getting contacted by employers or even being moved along to the next step because I had the same resume that I did not modify to the different job descriptions. So that's a very and crucial point to applying is I think I referenced customization a little bit earlier, but tailoring your resume and your materials being your cover letter if one is requested to the position. You can use a resource such as JobScan, talked a lot about that in the resume lab as well, or our team of advisors are happy to participate in a resume review for you. So you can email your resume over to us. Check your resume format and keyword. Use Tag Crowd. Tag Crowd is a resource that you can use to ensure you have used the full optimization of keywords that are available as it relates to the industry. Conduct a skills gap analysis. So using technology, professional associations, temp services, volunteering, job shadowing, online secondary education to complement your knowledge. If you feel comfortable, network. Use a career transition budget just in case the compensation does not align with where you are personally. Internal job searches are definitely a great strategy to elevate into a career change or a different position within your current employer. And request for projects. So normally one of my favorite ones, requesting for projects, particularly if you're targeting a career change and maybe you want to stay with your same employer or maybe you don't. Either way, most employers provide some sort of performance management tool where they do a one-on-one evaluation of how you've performed. If you are looking to expand your interest, perhaps during your performance management, you can ask, is there a project I can work on? I really have a strong interest in mentoring others or training and development. I think someone talked about human resources, or I have a strong interest in accounting. Are there any projects that I can work on where I can support the accounting team? And so, again, there's some information that you can put on your resume. There's some skills and exposure. And if you decide to stay within your company and maybe they offer you an accounting position, great. Or you can take that knowledge and utilize it elsewhere for a different employer. So that is one way you can maintain resiliency throughout your job search and through career changing. So I am going to not start my video, but stop sharing right now. And I want to take a few minutes to pull up our site. All right. So I stopped sharing just for a moment. I'm going to get the WGU Careers homepage up so I can show you. And can everyone see my screen okay? Yep. All right. Sounds good. So a couple of things I wanted to show at our navigation bar here at the top. If you go to Career Tools and get the job, and you click on networking here. So a couple of things that we talked a little bit about was LinkedIn Learning. If you are a career switcher, and I think I might have showed you a slide on the sample email, this giving your elevator pitch or your professional introduction using LinkedIn. This comes from a LinkedIn Learning. You can click on that. That's helpful. um Networking through social media, if that's something that you are interested in, this is where you can find some resources for that. And informational interviews, we talked a little bit about that, particularly using the WGU alumni tool. So here are some informational interview questions that you can come prepared with when you're ready to connect with the subject matter expert in the field. The other thing I wanted to make sure I showed you was the skills-based resume. So our navigation bar to the left, where it says resumes, step one is definitely our resume course that I encourage everyone to take a few minutes to review, especially if you're a career changer, so you can make sure that your resume aligns to the industry you're targeting. But if you go to step four, this provides you with an outline of templates. Someone had asked me earlier about marketing. So there's a marketing template here that you can use that provides you with an outline and a format. In any particular industry is up here. But if you're a career changer, the skills-based resume version is really going to be helpful. Maybe some of you have seen this, maybe not, but one of my favorite resume examples, because again, it allows you an opportunity to highlight your qualifications for the position. Then it gives you a chance to subcategorize qualifications and skills needed for the position of interest. So in this particular example, it breaks down human resources and what knowledge this individual has, employee training and supervision, any professional associations or certifications that have been acquired, education, and this is where your employment history will lie. Again, not a full breakdown of what you've done, when you've done it, but just a snippet to provide the employer a snapshot that you've worked before. So this resume is very, very helpful because again, it really provides a great structure and outline of informing the employer of what you're capable of doing when it comes to a role. All right. And I think the last thing I wanted to make sure I showed you was the employer-led events. So at the top, career events. If you are interested in connecting with employers, the employer connection events is listed here. Here are a few of them that are occurring this month. This is just early part of September, and so they normally, you can visit the Career Quest website, or we add different events as the month goes on. So this is one place that maybe you can check on a regular basis, or just kind of check back and see which companies are there. And even if it's a company, let's just say this was a school district here, or Teach for America, for example, and you're in IT, I still encourage you to attend. Ask the employer, are there any IT positions posted? Or do your research and look at their site, especially on Handshake, see if they posted any IT positions. Accounting, someone mentioned a little bit earlier, marketing. So just because that's the name of the organization, this allows you an opportunity for some one-on-one exposure to them. So great way to connect with an employer and just expand your network, or just ask for a position. So I'm at time now. I'm going to stop sharing and going to stop the recording.